almost 2019, which of course means it's the perfect time to talk 2020. More than one potential candidate has said they'll decide whether to run by early next year. For Democratic hopefuls in particular, this is essentially a game of political chicken, or, as the chairman of the Polk County, Iowa Democrats put it this week, a staring contest to see who moves first. A real hesitation for anyone to sign on with the candidate now because you don't know who else is going to get in. Joining me is the co-founder and managing editor of Beat DC, Tiffany, and MSNBC contributor Charlie Sykes, who is author of the book, How the Right Lost Its Mind. So I know some people think we're jumping the gun, Tiffany, but worth remembering that the Obama-Clinton drama started almost 2 years before that election. So is the pressure on? Are the Democrats starting to feel like, if I'm going to do this, I got to get in as ASAP?
I think so, and I think that we're going to see in January, as soon as the new year hits, you're going to get some announcements. Kamala Harris has a book dropping in January, 2 books actually, an adult version of her biography and a children's version is going to be dropping. So I think we can anticipate an announcement from her. Julian Castro pretty much announced on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert when he was on with his twin. So I think as soon as the new year hits, we're going to get an influx of candidates. But I think we have to remember the way that the Democratic primary is set up. A lot of these candidates are going to start to dwindle. So we might have this huge pool now. But as time goes, as we've been through this process a few times, we saw even on the Republican side with Donald Trump that there was a huge stage of people, and then sadly there was one person left. I think we'll see the same thing on the Democratic side. When the primaries have moved up, California is going to have theirs March 3rd. Texas has moved theirs up. They're going to have theirs March 3rd. These are community or states with large communities of people of color. So we're going to have candidates trying to appeal to those communities and lay out their policy standpoints that appeal to those folks. So I think you'll start to see it shrink, and we'll get down to a good pool of folks to get their vision for their country.
And it's not just the who, meaning the individual name, Charlie. It's kind of the what, like what category will the people fit in? I mean, a lot of people asking whether Dems want someone primarily experienced, let's say, like Joe Biden. Do you want a progressive alternative? You want someone who's brand spanking new, kind of what a lot of people saw Barack Obama as, Bill Clinton as, sort of coming out of not necessarily the traditional pool of candidates. There's this new Suffolk poll that shows Dems and independents are excited about Biden, and then Bernie, and then Beto. But what do you make of what Democrats might be looking for?
Well, I would prefer not to make a highlight reel of bad predictions this early in the election. And remember, 4 years ago,
certainly not from 2016 for any of us. Right?
Yeah, Jeb Bush was the prohibitive favorite to win the Republican nomination for president. We remember how that all turned out. But yeah, I do think that Democrats have to decide what they want, and I'm getting the sense that what they really want is to have somebody who will win the general election and beat Donald Trump. Next year is going to be incredibly unpredictable. I mean, it's going to be a volcanic year. Events may reshape the race, but there are certain fundamentals that you have to have some staying power. All these candidates are going to be tested. All of them are going to be, have to go through fire. But only a handful of them, I think, will have the money, will have the name recognition, will have the grassroots support to be able to stick it out. But by the end of this process, the last man or woman standing will have proven their mettle.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you talk about who can beat Donald Trump, because there is this Associated Press reporting today that Democrats in Iowa want somebody who can beat Donald Trump. They would, in fact, put aside somebody they like in favor of someone they think can beat Donald Trump. Is that where we are, Tiffany? Are we in a different place than even, say, when George W. Bush was running for re-election and people said they would vote for anybody who wasn't GW?
Yeah, I don't think Iowa is very unique in that sense. I think Democrats everywhere want somebody who can beat Donald Trump, and I think this is something that Barack Obama
but as their
was
number one thing, not necessarily, for example, where they stand on the issues, but do they have the cred to beat Donald Trump on the stage?
I think we are in uncharted territory because we have someone in the White House whose first job in government was as president of the United States, and so people are following Barack Obama's advice when he said, don't look for another me, don't look for someone to give you goosebumps, look for somebody who can take this country in the direction where you want it to go. And so yes, I do think Democrats are following suit in that way. And I also think it is quite dangerous and an interesting interesting thing that the top 3 candidates that are getting the most publicity right now are 3 white men. I think the rising majority of the country is going to start to weigh in there, even at to the point where they want someone who can beat Donald Trump. But I also think equally important is people, they want someone in office who looks like them or who can relate to their plight, who can talk about things like criminal justice reform and social justice and student debt, etc. So I think you'll see in this election, this will be one of the times that communities of color will be a driving force in the conversation. Younger people, we saw in midterms, younger people voted in drove amounts at the ballot box this time around. So I think you'll have a different set of issues.
Yeah, and let's not forget what happened in this last election, the midterm election. More than a few women got elected. I'm out of time, Shelley, but I have to ask you because I'm going to put that clip reel together. Will Trump get a challenge on the Republican side? Yes, no?
Yes, he will. I don't know who it's going to be, but he will, and it will have an effect on the general election.
Charlie Sykes, Tiffany Cross. This is so good. Thank you both. Appreciate it. And coming up next hour here on MSNBC, as Secretary Nielsen heads to the border,